I wasn't looking for a hidden room. I was looking for a leak. That's how this started. I bought the house 6 months ago. Small, 2 stories, built sometime in the 1950s. Cheap enough to make me suspicious, but not cheap enough to scare me off. The inspector said it had character. Old wiring, uneven floors, the usual. About 3 weeks ago, I noticed a damp spot forming on the living room wall. At first, it was the size of a coin, then a handprint, then it spread into this dark, uneven stain that never fully dried. I figured it was a pipe. So one Saturday morning, I moved the couch, grabbed a stud finder and a small hand saw, and decided to cut into the dry wall. That's when things stopped making sense. The stud finder kept reading empty space where there should have been beams. No resistance, just hollow. But the house blueprint I got during closing didn't show any empty cavity there. It showed a solid load-bearing wall. I tapped on it. Most of the wall sounded dense. One section sounded wrong, not echoey, not solid, just deeper. I pressed my ear against it, and I swear, for a split second, I thought I heard something. Not a voice, breathing. I pulled back immediately, heart racing, trying to rationalize it. Old houses make noise, air pressure shifts, pipes expand. I cut a small square into the drywall. Instead of insulation, there was darkness. Not shallow darkness. Not, I can see the back wall darkness. It was depth. I widened the hole. Behind the drywall wasn't a normal cavity. It was a narrow opening leading into what looked like a hidden space between walls, maybe 3 feet wide, tall enough to crouch in, and it went back farther than my phone flashlight could reach. That's when the smell hit me. Not rot, not mold, old, like closed books and dust and something metallic underneath. I should have stopped there. Instead, I grabbed a mask, a flashlight, and my phone. I told myself it was probably an old storage space. Maybe the previous owners sealed it up. I crawled in. The air was colder inside. Not dramatically, just enough to notice. The beam from my flashlight cut through floating dust particles, revealing something at the far end. Furniture, a small wooden chair, facing the wall. I felt this tightness in my chest. Why would someone hide a chair inside a sealed wall? I moved closer. The floor wasn't bare wood. It was covered in old newspaper clippings, layered like insulation. I picked one up. The date read 1974. Most of the articles were local. Missing persons, break-ins, a fire that destroyed a nearby property. And then I saw it, a small porcelain doll sitting on the chair. Its paint was cracked with age. One glass eye slightly misaligned. The dress was yellowed, stiff with time. It was facing the wall. I don't know why that detail unsettled me more than anything else. I circled around to see its face. That's when I noticed something else. Behind the doll, scratched into the wooden wall, were dozens of tally marks, grouped in fives. I counted at least 70. 70 what? Days, people, breaths. My throat went dry. I lifted the doll gently. It was heavier than it looked. When I turned it toward me, its head tilted slightly to one side. Loose joint, I thought. Then it snapped upright. Not slowly, not from gravity. Quick, mechanical. I froze. I stared at it for a full 10 seconds, waiting for my brain to correct what I thought I saw. Nothing happened. I laughed nervously. Old mechanism. Probably a balance weight inside. I placed it back on the chair. That's when I heard it clearly, breathing, not mine. Slow. Behind the far wall. I turned off my flashlight. Complete darkness swallowed me, but the breathing didn't stop. It continued, measured, calm, like whoever or whatever was behind that thin wooden barrier wasn't afraid at all. My heartbeat was pounding so loudly I thought I might miss it if it changed rhythm. Then something brushed the wall from the other side, a soft drag, like fingertips. I scrambled backward, nearly knocking over the chair. The doll fell to the floor with a hollow thud, and I swear to God, in the pitch black, I heard a whisper, right next to my ear. Don't. I bolted. I crawled so fast I scraped my arms raw against the studs. I burst out of the wall opening and collapsed onto the living room floor, gasping. The breathing stopped the moment I left the space. I didn't sleep in the house that night. I told myself it was stress, auditory hallucinations, adrenaline. The next day, I brought a friend over. I didn't tell him everything, just said I found a weird hidden cavity. We widened the hole together, but when we looked inside, the chair was gone. The newspapers were gone. The doll was gone. The space was empty, completely empty, just bare studs and a shallow 3-foot gap that didn't extend back at all. It ended in insulation. No hidden depth, No wooden wall, no scratches, nothing. I climbed inside again, heart racing. The measurements didn't match what I remembered. It wasn't deep enough to hold furniture. There was no way. My friend laughed and said, I probably imagined the extra space because of shadows. I wanted to believe him. Until that night, around 2:17 a.m., I woke up to a sound, wood creaking, not random house settling, rhythmic, like weight shifting. I sat up in bed and listened. It was coming from the living room, slow, intentional. Then something else, a soft porcelain clink. I didn't move for a long time. Eventually, I forced myself out of bed and walked down the hallway. Every step felt wrong. The living room was dark except for the streetlight bleeding through the curtains, and in the center of the room the chair, the same wooden chair, facing the wall. My couch was pushed slightly to the side. The drywall I had cut into was intact. No hole, no patchwork, just a smooth, unbroken wall. The doll was sitting on the chair, facing away from me. I couldn't breathe. I didn't approach it. I just stood there, frozen. Then the doll's head turned, slowly this time, until one cracked glass eye was staring directly at me. And from inside the wall behind it I heard breathing again. Closer, not hidden. Right on the other side of the drywall, something tapped twice. From within the wall, I left the house that night. I haven't gone back since. I contacted the previous owner through my realtor, asked if they knew anything about hidden spaces. They went silent for 2 days. Then they replied with one sentence, "We sealed that room for a reason." I don't know what that means. I don't know what the tally marks were counting. But here's the part that keeps me awake. 3 nights after I left, my neighbor called me. She said she saw a light turning on and off inside my living room. I told her no one was there. She hesitated. Then she said, "Are you sure? I saw someone sitting in a chair." I asked her where. She said, "Facing the wall."